So my life before Jesus, as many of our stories start, it all starts with the foundation that we're born into. So I was born into a house that was kind of considered like a broken home. My stepfather and my mother, they both grew up in homes that was broken. So my mother, she was a generational alcoholic, a wonderful woman, but like I said, she didn't have the best start. I think she got kicked out of her house at 16, was married by 17, had kids by 20. And so it was just a ripple effect of how she was raised. My stepfather was a hard worker, but he loved to party. And so when they would come home, that's what time it was. There wasn't a day that there wasn't beer in the refrigerator, music playing loud, and a party was going. Around the age of about 11 years old, 12 years old, my stepfather developed a crack cocaine habit. And this is when everything really went downhill. So we went from surviving to not even being able to get by. And so my older brother, who was 15 at the time, and I was 12, he was selling drugs already, and he introduced me to selling drugs. He had a conversation with me, and I remember it even to this day that he said, I know that we don't want to do this, but this is a way that we can kind of provide for ourselves through the tough times. So around 13 years old is whenever I really started selling drugs. I remember going into the summer of 9th grade and just not having nice clothes, not having nice shoes, not being able to get a haircut, just things like that, the bare necessities of even just being a young teenager and the things that your heart would long for. So I start selling drugs, and being in the environment that I was raised in Nashville, Tennessee, not Louisiana, which many people ask me often, but Nashville, Tennessee. And it was a different time back then. We're talking 20 years ago. So many of my friends, they also came from broken homes. And it seemed like nobody around me knew or wanted to do the right thing. So we began down this domino effect of trying to make money by any means possible. So selling drugs turned into committing petty crimes, breaking and entering, into local shops, local businesses around where I was from. And this led to me beginning to get locked up. So at 14 years old, I started getting locked up. I would go in, get out maybe 2 or 3 weeks later. And then around 16, that's whenever I committed a crime. We went into a car lot and stole the safe out and took a few cars off the lot. And somebody got caught, and they ended up telling on me. And I went to a juvenile maximum facility prison at the age of 16. I did 4.5 months there. After I got out, I returned back to the same environment where everything was still the same, and specifically at my house, things was even worse. This was a ripple effect up till about the age of 17 years old, where I remember being asleep on the couch, and one of my closest friends came and woke me up. And he said, "Hey man, we just got word that there's a drug dealer who has a lot of money in his house, and we're about to go and commit a robbery, and you should come with us." And so this is the crazy thing about growing up the way I grew up, is that you can have a good heart, but you're misguided, you're misdirected, and at that point, it wasn't even about doing anything to hurt anybody. It was simply about trying to better my circumstances in the blindness that I was in, the way that we thought was best. So we committed this robbery on this guy. Nobody got hurt, thank God for that, but we got caught, and thank God for that as well. But this led me to getting a 6-year sentence at 17 years old, in which I'd done almost 3.5 years on. When I got out, I went back to the same environment, but I had an opportunity through getting my GED and speaking to somebody who came and visited the prison to go to a barber college. But the problem is that when I'm not at school, I'm back in the same environments. And I never forget, my mother started getting evicted. So here I am trying to do the right thing, going to barber college, but my mother is getting evicted because she has no help, and my stepfather is still lost doing drugs. So what is the quickest way to make money to try to make things better in my world at the time? Was selling drugs. So of course I dove back into it. So we start giving into the wrong things again. I start selling drugs, and this leads up to about 23 years of age. I had since graduated Barber College, but I wasn't looking there. I was only looking where I was at and how I can make more money. And so at 23 years of age, I remember my mother called me, and I had just fixed up a very nice vehicle. And I was driving around the neighborhood, and I got a call on my cell phone, and she said, "Hey, Ronnie," she said, "everybody's been telling me about that car you just got." And she said, "Everyone knows you're a drug dealer, you know that, right?" And it hit me kind of hard because all my life, my mother knew that I'd done these things. All my life, she had known that this has been the environment that I grew up in and the way that I lived. But the crazy thing was that it spoke to my identity. It's something about that. God had began to soften my heart. And when she said, "You know, everybody knows you're a drug dealer," something changed and something shifted. And so I don't know why at that moment in time that it kind of shook me. And I kind of got off the phone with her, and I went home that night, and I remember watching a movie. It was a movie a lot of like the life I was living, about a guy who was selling drugs and going about trying to better his situation in the wrong manner. And he ends up getting caught, getting busted, and ends up doing 20 years. And at that moment, God spoke to me, and he said, "Ronnie, you're at a crossroads, and it's time for you to make a decision." And I remember getting down on my knees and speaking to God. And I said, "God, I don't know what to do, but I know what not to do. And from this day forward, I'll follow you." And so I rose up and I get all my drugs. I literally flushed them down the toilet, and I never looked back. And God is so gracious that, there were so many times that things could have been so much worse. But he started softening my heart. And that's why I relate so much to that verse that says, "While we were still sinners, Christ died for us," because I believe that he calls our name way before we ever call his. And so it was through the process of his grace and the evidence of me seeing that it wasn't me being prideful and saying, "Oh, I just got lucky." It was his grace that began to soften my heart and speak to me and show me that it was him making a way for me to make it out. And so that's what happened. So my heart and places that I love to go is into the inner city. There's many communities, even close to Legacy, that we go to, and we feed people. We really try to give people what they don't have. And see, that's what it takes, and that's what Jesus done, is that he went where people was, and he brought Jesus to them. And so that's what we do. We take Jesus to them, and we take Jesus to communities. We love to give back, and that's the true fulfillment of being a Christian. On the other side of being saved is giving, and on the other side of giving is fulfillment. And so that's what we love to do. We love to give back, and we love to bring the joy and the love of the Lord everywhere we go. I'm so thankful for my past. See, my past was never meant to shame me, but my past was meant to bring me to a point of understanding that there's nothing that our God can't do. And so I'm so grateful for where I came from. I'm so grateful for every mountain that I went up and every valley that I've been in, because it showed me the strength of God. It showed me the potential of bowing a knee, opening a heart, and surrendering to God and saying yes. And that when forgiveness comes in, redemption comes in, love comes in, joy comes in, and it shows you that no matter where you come from, that you can overcome. And I'm so thankful for that, because had I not known where I come from, I wouldn't know how powerful my God is. But because I know where I'm from, and because I know what I've overcome through Jesus Christ, I know that nothing is impossible for any person that he will lead us to. So I want you to know that we're blessed because we know we serve a powerful God, and we know that God is still moving in and through us. In Jesus' name.